Hello, my fellow Nakama. Welcome to Critic Show. The latest One Piece chapter just dropped. It's chapter 1138, and it's a very interesting chapter. So I thought I'd talk about it. It's like I said, it's a very interesting chapter. And the chapter title is Harley. And immediately as I was reading this chapter, when I saw the title Harley, I knew it would be talking about the Harley texts that were mentioned a few chapters ago, that mentioned the appearance of Nika whenever there is turmoil. Some giants think Nika brings about the end of the world, and some giants think Nika brings about salvation to the people who have been enslaved, which I think for the giants, the view of the sun god is split because of that, as some giants believe that Nika brings about liberation to the people, and some think Nika brings about destruction and chaos. And I think that's what leads to characters like Loki, who think they are embodying Nika by bringing about destruction, and obviously characters like Luffy and maybe Kuma, who think that Nika is supposed to bring about liberation towards the people. Anyway, so let's get started. This is chapter 1138, and in the cover page we have Who's Who. I think they just discovered Who's Who's secret base, so we'll see where that goes. But just as soon as we begin the chapter, we get Loki as well as Shamrock, just where we left off in the previous chapter. We left off with like a beautiful shot of Shamrock, and in all his majesty. It's probably the best looking character since King. But yeah, we start off with Shamrock and Loki, and basically Loki just said, "Oi, why do you look like redhead?" And it's very interesting to me because it seems as if Loki has his eyes covered, so I'm wondering how can he see behind those, like, because he's like a Gojo character right here. He has his eyes bandaged over, but he's still able to see, which is very interesting to me because I wonder, how is Loki able to see behind those bandages? Or maybe, it's just bandages. Realistically, I think anybody can see just a little bit. Maybe his observation haki just enhances the little vision that he might have behind the bandages. Because if he cannot see at all under the bandages, that kind of rules out observation haki a little bit. Because Fujitora can see. I think he said to Luffy that, "I wish I could see your face." That means Fujitora is not capable of seeing fine details. I think he sees people as like aura, like colored aura or something like that. But for Loki, I don't know how he sees. I think it's easier to believe that he probably sees just a little bit, and he uses observation haki to enhance those senses and to see more clearly behind the bandages. Anyway, so we get Loki asking Shamrock, "Oi, why do you look like redhead?" And he say, "Oh, that guy is my younger twin brother, who at some point came back to the Holy Land, but he later realized that he's too attached to the pirate life, or to the lowly, filthy world down below." Which I think something to mention here is that many people thought that either Shamrock or Shanks were gonna be clones. Some people thought both of Shamrock and Shanks were gonna be clones of Saint Figarland, and some people thought maybe Shamrock is a clone of Shanks and stuff like that. I think I'm more happier believing that actual brothers. I don't know how I'd feel if they were clones. One or the other were clones, but I think it works out better this way, that twin brothers who were separated at birth. And it seems like Shanks at least tried to get back to his roots, but he just couldn't because he got attached to the world below, as Shamrock puts it. So yeah, then Loki says, "Oi, I guess you guys are really opposites, innit? Like, one is a pirate, the other is, scum from the Holy Land." Which, pirates are kind of known to believe in freedom, whereas the world government oppresses freedom in any way they can, So, yeah, Loki basically puts that out there, that you guys are complete opposites. But anyway, what happens is that Loki basically says to Shamrock that, "Yo, I'm not gonna forget what you did to my mates, innit? When I'm out of here, I'm gonna come for you, and I'm gonna get my revenge. My mates are gonna be avenged," meaning the beasts that he had under his retinue. So yeah, I guess Shamrock gets really pissed about that, and he says, was that supposed to be a threat? And his partner says, Captain, you don't have to. And Shamrock says, I know he isn't worthy of me getting my hands dirty over. Which, by the way, I find that very fascinating. And you might ask, why do you find that fascinating? It's because, like, it's crazy to me that Shamrock and even some people in his squad feel like he's the captain, so he shouldn't get his hands dirty. They're not worth seeing the mighty power you hold, oh great captain. You know, commander of the God's Knights, they're not worthy of your time. And he even says, I know he's not worthy of even me getting my hands dirty. So he instead just uses his sword, which we found out his sword can transform into a Cybras, which I'm assuming it's a mythical type devil fruit, just because we've seen swords that have consumed devil fruits before, or weapons that have consumed devil fruits before, or inanimate objects. We have that teapot in Wano, you know. We also have Fangfried Spanden's or weapon. We also have Master Four's weapon from Brokeworks, who had like the cannon that ate the dog fruit, so it could spit like cannonballs or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, we have that. So we've seen this before. So is why I'm inclined to believe it's just a sword that ate a mythical type devil fruit, which it shows you the resources that the world government possesses. I mean, the world government can afford to just give a sword a mythical type devil fruit. That's just insane, because those are very rare. When Mako was introduced, it was said mythical type devil fruits are way more rare than even Logia type devil fruits. So it really shows you how much resources the God's Knights or even the Celestial Dragons are able to put towards their own, you know. Again, something that I'm wondering, because it wasn't straight up labeled a devil fruit, they just mentioned it's a Cybras. So I mean, yes, I do assume it's a devil fruit, but there's that little possibility that it might not actually be a devil fruit, because we see the Cybras has that black band thing that is typical for awakened Zoans. So are we to assume this sword is an awakened Zoan, or is this not even a devil fruit, because we know that the Gorosei also have the black cloud ring around them as well? So are we to assume whatever the Cybras is kind of like the transformations, the Zoan transformations that the Gorosei have as well, because they also have the black smoke ring around them as well? Does that mean they're awakened? Because we are not sure if they have devil fruits or not, you know. So yes, I think there's a small possibility that this is not actually a typical devil fruit, but an extension of the power of the Gorosei. Again, I want to mention that Shamrock here, if this is indeed a devil fruit, is it that devil fruits are kind of looked upon by the higher echelons of the world government? Because apart from Doflamingo, realistically, which other world noble has consumed the devil fruit? I can't think of any. So then does that mean that the world nobles view devil fruits as inferior things that they themselves cannot be bothered to associate with? Because we saw that even some of the slaves of the world nobles are fed devil fruits, like Boa and her siblings were fed devil fruits just for funsies, you know, by the world government. Also, like the world nobles were willing to give away very, very rare and powerful devil fruits to the common people. You know, I think when we go back to the flashback at God's Valley, it was very clear that there were devil fruits that were set as prizes. I think Kuma got his devil fruit from that pool, and we are to assume that the biggest prize there was the dragon devil fruit that Kaido consumed, and they were willy-nilly being given to any survivors of the games at that time, which that makes it clear that the world government is very willing and capable of giving away very rare devil fruits to basically anybody, you know, basically to anybody. So it begs the question, do they not see any value in consuming devil fruits? Because world nobles don't really associate themselves with devil fruits. As I said, apart from the Doflamingo, I don't know any other world noble who consumed a devil fruit. So maybe they look down upon devil fruits and they wield a power that is separated from devil fruits. That's we'll see going down a bit. So continuing, we see that Shamrock's blade, the Cybras, he calls it the biting blade, and the heads can detach and fly away, and he returned the body of the Cybras into the blade, which is interesting in the sense that he's still holding the blade, yet the blade manifests within the Cybras that are detached from the blade. Another thing is that the body can retract into the blade and the heads can go off on their their own, which is kind of awkward. And I mean, this is kind of goofy a little bit because it reminds me of Queen. When he was fighting Sanji, he was able to detach his neck from his body, which kind of seemed goofy, so like this has a similar vibe to that. They're able to detach their heads and they fly over. Biologically that doesn't make sense, but I guess it works. But like how it works still is a mystery, because the body itself returned into the blade, and the blade, even though Shamrock still has it, it still manifests in the head that were sent away, which is very fascinating, I think. And yeah, those blades basically just impaled Loki as Shamrock and his accomplice left. And they were talking about, basically Shamrock said they should start by holding the kids hostage. And he said they are gonna need help, so they should invite one other person, which I'm assuming that other person will be a member of the God's Knights and will be acquainted to more members of the God's Knights, which I'll totally be happy about that. Yeah, I'm really itching to get to the final bit of the chapter. I don't think I'll spend too much time on this next part, where it's Luffy, Frodo, Nami, and Zoro talking to the giant guards about how the intruder that hit them was actually Shanks, and Luffy was like, that's not Shanks, probably like a lookalike or a brother or something, and to the end of this whole thing, we see the guy who was at the show saying he's waiting for Straw Hat Luffy coming over to the castle, which actually I like this scene because he's not walking on the stairs, because you all remember that one Rick and Morty episodes where they had to go down giant stairs and it was a chore, so there was this slimy thing that gave them a ride. So yeah, I think for human beings to climb the stairs, it gotta be very taxing, so it's just easier to traverse by the sides of the stairs right there going towards the castle. So yeah, he's coming over to Luffy. I think they will meet soon, maybe next chapter, maybe the chapter after that, and we'll finally see who it is. Most people theorize it might be Scopagabon. A minority of some people think it might be Shiki, but I think we'll see on that. Moving over to the meat and potatoes of this chapter, we see Frankie and the giant lady. So we see them and they are looking at the Adam tree, and Frankie basically tells the giant lady that this Adam tree is very valuable outside of Elbeth, and she's saying, oh, maybe I'll just get a piece for myself and sell it then, and Frankie says, but Saul told you to keep an eye on me exactly for that reason, so I don't go cutting the Adam tree or anything because it's very sacred here. So as they're walking, Frankie sees a mural that is etched into the tree and basically says it might be from 900 to 800 years ago, and she basically just assumes that it was drawn by some kids back in the day, basically because like in the depiction it shows giants working together with other races, and says as long as she's known, giants have never really worked together with any other race. In fact, they've only warred with other races. In fact, the giants were warring with other races, which is what actually caused the King Harold to want to stop the warring nature of giants and to bring about peaceful giants who will be able to trade with other nations. Basically, King Harold was that stepping stone towards getting giants away from the nature of warring. And basically, yeah, it makes sense why she would be skeptical of this drawing, just because the late king was basically trying to foster the relationship that giants have never had with any other species. They've only ever warred with other species, that they've never really came together under one banner fighting together, so she is led to believe this mural was just some kid's dream, and because of this panel where she says this is why I think it was probably just some kid's dream. I've heard many people talk about this. I heard Brago was saying that what if the entirety of One Piece is like a kid's dream? Everything is like a dream, and he said he wouldn't like that, and I'm like yeah, that would be real silly, hopefully that doesn't happen. I really would hate to see One Piece go the way of JJK or something where everybody hates the ending. I really hope the One Piece ending will be something very beloved and known as one of the greater anime endings endings or manga endings out there, but yeah, moving on, we get Robin at our library, and they're basically reading the Harley texts. Coming to the Harley texts, I think this is what I'm most fascinated by here. When we read the Harley text, it seems like the world is separated into the first world, the second world, and the third world, right? And in our own world, IRL, we know that there are what are called third world countries, which are considered poor countries. So, I mean, looking at like the technological advancement, I mean, Vegapunk said that all the technological innovations that he came up with were only him mimicking technologies that once existed in the past, and it kind of makes sense that technologically the world that we are in might be like a third world, so I think there are parallels that Oda might be drawing there, in that the technological revolution of this particular period in time is subpar as compared to the first world, the technological advancements. So maybe that's why we are currently living in a third world technologically and everything, whereas the first world might have been very technologically advanced. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Also, like when we come to this whole thing, we can read that in the first world, it is said, as per the recordings in the Harley text, the earth burned in endless flame, and in the hearts of men burned with desire. From whispered prayers the sun god rose, beckoned by the enslaved who reached for the forbidden star. The god of the land was enraged. With a serpent of fire, they cast the world into ruin. Darkness fell, death reigned, they would not meet again. Okay, let me preface this by saying so many people have different opinions in interpretation of this, both the mural and the text, and I have also a very different interpretation. Might be wrong, might be correct, we don't know, but I think, just as there's discourse among the giants on what they believe the Sun Nika to be, whether a warrior of liberation or a harbinger of chaos, we in the community as well, after reading the Harley text, we came to entirely separate our conclusions and interpretations of what this message may mean. I'm also of a very unique and different interpretation as to I think most people would have, and I think you'd be interested to hear my own interpretation of the Harley text right here. So as it said that the earth was burning in endless flame, and in the hearts of men burned with desire, from whispered prayers the sun god rose in it. So this sentence right here, from whispered prayers the sun god rose, what did Vegapunk say? We know that the sun god is like a devil fruit, right? Is a devil fruit. It's Luffy ate Gamu Gamu no Mi, or the Nika Nika fruit. He ate that fruit, and he is now able to transform into the warrior of liberation, into the sun god. See, now, since we know that this is a devil fruit, then does it mean here, from the whispered prayers the sun god rose? We know that devil fruits were created as per the desires of the people at the time. People desired something and it turned into a devil fruit. The concept that they desire turned into a devil fruit. So then, are we in this line saying, or my interpretation of this line sees that Nika fruit might be the progenitor of devil fruit? I am of the belief that the sun god fruit might be the first ever devil fruit to be created. Because whether that be that the sun god fruit was actually a devil fruit, or whether that be that the sun god fruit didn't originate as a fruit until the second world, but the cries of the people and the beckonings of the people created a deity or a god from their own desires. See, what I'm trying to say is there are two things that I'm getting from this. Is then the sun god fruit created initially by people who wished to be liberated by a being who laughs and brings hope? Did that then create the devil fruit, or did that then create the being? So if we are to assume there are multiple gods, maybe 4 gods in the One Piece world, does that mean the sun god is the only god who is not naturally occurring? The sun god might be a god who didn't naturally occur but was created by the beckons of people, whether that be in devil fruit form or in human form. But I am of the belief that the sun god fruit originated originally as a devil fruit that somebody ate, and I believe that the sun god fruit was the first ever devil fruit to be created, because it says here that in the hearts of men burned with desire, from whispered prayers the sun god rose. And in that regard, I'm thinking maybe the sun god fruit was the first ever fruit to be manifested into this world. Anyway, when we continue, we see that after the sun god rose, beckoned by the enslaved who reached for the forbidden star, the god of the land was enraged. with a serpent of fire they cast the world into ruin, you know. So then this introduces a different god known as the god of the land. So this god of the land had beef with the sun god. So if we look at this mural here, we see the sun god and his allies. We see a Lunarian, we see what looks like Laboon, we see what looks like Emmet, we see what looks like Samurai in a ship, we see what looks like the Mermaid Princess, we see what looks like Tontata, we see what looks like an Asian giant, maybe Loki, which I had Gozen from Anime Apro say he thinks that Loki is gonna join the Straw Hat crew, which, you know what, I know we say this person for Straw Hat almost every arc. We said Yamato for Straw Hat, we said Carrot for Straw Hat back in Zoe and Whole Cake, we said Lilith and Bonnie for Straw Hat and Egghead. I mean, I know we are wishy-washy as a community, but yeah, I also do believe that Loki might join the crew, but I think he's too large. Depends what his devil fruit is, if he's able to shrink in any way once he is untied, since Luffy will be able to set him free, as the sun god is known to do, to liberate people. When Luffy sets him free, maybe we can find out what his devil fruit is, the legendary devil fruit that was passed in the royalty bloodline of the giants. Maybe he can be able to shapeshift or to change size, and if he can do that, then he can join the crew. Otherwise, it's too large. Also, can we acknowledge that this being that looks like Loki or an Asian giant in the mural has a very long spear? So does that then mean the large sword that is going through the Adam tree in Albath, does that sword belong to Loki? Because it might. Just seeing how in the mural the ancient giant Loki looking character is carrying a really long spear, maybe even comparable to the size of the Adam tree. If we are to assume the tree that is in between the mural here is the Adam tree, that sword is comparable to the size of the tree, you know. So yeah, I'm wondering if this being is drawing parallels to Loki, and if Loki might be the owner of that large sword that is currently going through the Adam tree. I guess we'll see, and I am of the reasoning that Loki might become a member of the Straw Hat crew. I know many people think there's more to the story of King Harold and Loki, as they feel like King Harold was not a just a king or as good as a king as he's been portrayed, you know. So we'll see where the plotline goes. If Loki is set free, will he be able to join the crew? Maybe he might, you know. Just seeing the mural right here, the giants were working together with the human beings. I mean, to be fair, you know, everybody is looking for the might of the giants. Like, even currently we have the God's Knights who want to subjugate the giants. Big Mom wanted to as well, but Luffy is already friends with the giants, with Hiruden, who's part of the Grand Fleet, with Rodo maybe, and also with Dory and Brogy and Oimo, as well as Kashi as well, maybe Saul as well. So we already have the giant support as the Straw Hat crew, so we will be able to work with them more easily than Big Mom and the God's Knights, as it were. So yeah, man, I think that was my theory, that I think the Sun God fruit was the first ever devil fruit to be created in the first world, because it does say that in the hearts of men bent with desire, from whispered prayers the Sun God rose. And I believe that line to mean that the Sun God was created by the cries of the people who needed liberation, who were enslaved at the time. So yes, either the fruit itself was created by the beckons of the enslaved, or the being himself as a god was not naturally occurring and was formed by the cries of the people. But we do know that there was a naturally occurring god of the land who was enraged by the creation of the sun god, and with a serpent of fire they cast the world into ruin. I'm meant to believe that the sun god, who was just the newly born at this first world, as well as the god of the land, maybe they fought, and that fighting cast the world into ruin. Darkness fell, death reigned. Some people believe that the serpent of fire might be the red line, because it's like a serpent and it's fiery, it's like red. They believe that maybe this red line is what is called the serpent of fire, and it's not naturally occurring but was created to plunge the world into chaos. You know, together we shall rise, divided we shall fall type thing. If you divide up the nations of the world, they become more primitive, information traveling around becomes harder. and stuff like that, man. Without the internet, when we look back at the 16th century and stuff like that, the world was not as connected as it is right now, but punk records in the One Piece world might be able to help people, even though they're at different parts of the world, to access the same information. So yeah, man, we will see about that. But if we move over to the second world here, it says, a breath stared in the abyss. The god of the forest wove their magic, nurturing its devils. While the sun lit the embers of war, those of the half crescent and the full moons dreamed. Yet the ones who slew the sun deified themselves, evoking the wrath of the sea god. They would not meet again. So yes, I think the sun was slew in the first world. That's why in the first world I think it says they would not meet again, because he was killed right here. But when we get to the second world, in the second world I think the sun god didn't exist. I think he was already killed in the first world. But what happened is that after the creation of the first devil fruit, which I believe to be the sun god, more devil fruits were created. But if we still believe that the sun god was a god who wasn't naturally occurring but was created by the people, then maybe when the devil fruits were created by the god of the forest, the concept of the sun god who wanted to liberate people then was made into a devil fruit. It's one or the other, man. It's either the sun god was the first ever naturally occurring devil fruit, or he was an artificial god created by the wishes of the people. But after he was slew in the first world, when we came to the second world and the god of the forest created devil fruits, the cries of the people who wanted the sun god again turned the sun god into a devil fruit by the natural creation of the devil fruit. We know that created by the people who desire to be a jacket or a flame man or an iceman or whatever. So maybe the concept of the sun god who was slew in the first world was turned into a devil fruit once the god of the forest created a devil fruit. So now there are three gods that were mentioned. There's the god of the land, there's the sun god, and also the god of the forest, who is said to have created devil fruits, right? And it says, when the ones who slew the sun deified themselves, evoking the wrath of the sea god, they would not meet again. So then does this mean that the sea god hated the forest god for creating devil fruits? Because we know for a fact that devil fruits are hated by the sea. It has been said so many times in the show. So if we go back to the mural here, I'm of the belief that there's this dragon here and there's another dragon or beasts. There are two beasts here. There's the serpent looking beast that is spitting fire, and there's another beast on top of what I'm assuming to be the Adam tree, or the tree that is able to create devil fruits. The devils were nurtured by the forest god. So I'm assuming this tree is the tree that is able to create devil fruits. Now, whether it be the Adam tree or the Eve tree, I've heard some people say the Eve tree. Now, like what I'm saying is here, I am of the belief that this serpent looking thing on the right, I believe this is the sea god. I know people think it's the serpent of fire, but I believe this is the sea god. And I believe this god on the tree is the forest god. And I believe, obviously, it seems they're fighting or they're spitting fire towards each other. So I believe the One Piece world is a world that is plagued by the war between gods. There are two gods fighting. There are four gods in total, and two of them are fighting. It seems as if the forest god who created the devil fruits, we know devil fruits are hated by the sea, and the sea god who is mentioned to hate the devils, evoking the wrath of the sea god. So I believe this serpent on the right is the sea god, and I believe the serpent on the tree is the forest god. And I believe they are clashing here because it is said the sea god hates devil fruits, and in extension he will probably hate the forest god who created the devil fruits. So I believe these two gods are clashing. And when we look towards the left here, we see the sun god battling another god who, as mentioned from the first world, it is said the creation of the sun god enraged the god of the land. So I believe Im Sama might either be possessed by the god of the land, or I think he might be possessed. I don't particularly think he is the god of the land, because Ivankov said there was once a world noble called Saint Imu of House Nerona, meaning Imu might have just been a normal person, just as Lilith and everybody else, So I'm of the belief that the earth god is possessing Imu, rather than Imu being the earth god, just because he is said to be a noble from one of the 20 families, Saint Imu of House Nerona. So I think obviously the reason why he's immortal and everything is maybe not because of the perpetual youth surgery. Obviously it was kind of confirmed that they might not be immortal because of the perpetual youth surgery. They are immortal because of Im's powers, as when Im took his powers away from Saint Saturn just basically disintegrated into bones. Time caught up to him. So these world nobles, the Goro say, they're not immortal because of some perpetual youth surgery. They're immortal because of the power that Im is granting them. And this power that Im is granting them, to me, seems as if Im himself might be getting this power from being possessed by the god of the earth, because we know from the first world that the god of the earth or the god of the land hated the god of the sun, and the god of the forest they hated the god of the sea, and that. So I'm of the belief, I know other people have different interpretations of this, and mine might just be wrong, I don't know, but my first time reading this mural and everything that he said here, that's the conclusion I came to. I believed, as per the murals depict and as the wedding says here, the god of the land was enraged by the creation of the sun god, and as well the sea god was enraged by the creation of the devil fruits. We know that the devil fruits are hated by the sea. So I believe that this depiction on top of the tree, whether that be the Adam tree or the Eve tree or whatever, that seems to be battling this other god. I think this is the battle between the sea god and the forest god, as well the sun god and the god of the land. I believe the One Piece world is a world plagued by a war between gods. There are 4 gods in total, and the 2 pairs seem to be having a constant struggle. I don't know if we'll ever be able to see the struggle between the god of the forest as well as the god of the sea resolved, but I think it's interesting to think about nonetheless. And let's read the third world. It says, chaos reigns, the world drifts in a void. After the void century, people they don't know anything about their past or anything, as even Im said that those with the D, the moniker D, forgot what that name even means, Yet time does not erase the memory of the promised day. Its shadow looms as the voice of the half moon echoes through the ages. The D family, Goldie, Roger, Monkey D, Luffy, the name echoes, through the ages. And once more, the sun god shall rise, laughing, dancing, guiding the world to its final act. The sun is reborn, a new dawn will break. Surely this time they will meet. I think the first time they met was in the first world before the sun god was slain, and I think they will meet here again for the final showdown. No, unless we are meant to believe that they never even met at the first world, which I don't believe. I believe they did meet. Because you know what? I thought that Joy Boy might have not been a sun god. I thought Joy Boy might have been a fraud, because it seems as if the Void Century might have happened in the second world. I don't know, I think it happened in the first world, because the Lady Giant did say this mural ages back 800 or 900 years ago. So I think Joy Boy existed in the first world, because if he existed in the third world, that means it doesn't make sense. He might not be the sun god, because the sun god was killed the time the second world came by. But when we go back to Joy Boy, I do believe he was in the first world, because Zunisha did say that the drums, when he was in Wano, he said, Joy Boy, you have awakened, because he recognized that sound of the drums and everything. So definitely Zunisha knows the sun god, and he knows the drums. So that means Joy Boy might have existed in the first world. And we know that Saint Imu kind of knows Joy Boy's haki, because when Emmet untied the knot, the haki boomed, and the Gorosei were sent back home to Marijua, and Im Sama was panting, and that he was panting, and there was a bit of sweat in his brow. So then that means Joy Boy and Im probably met, which is, in my opinion, the god of the land, which is Im Sama, and the sun god, which was Joy Boy at the time. I think they met, and Im won that fight 800 or whatever years ago. And in the mirror, we do see that some people, there's this little boat here, there are some people who are fighting on the side of the god of the land, or that beast holding the sun on the left. So anyway, yes, that's basically my 2 cents. I do think they will meet again. I think the last time they met was with Joy Boy, and Joy Boy was the first of his kind. There was no Joy Boy before him. He's only the first of his kind because he was created by the whispers of people. There's no one who had the devil fruit before Joy Boy. In fact, the devil fruits were created by the forest god after Joy Boy died. So that means devil fruits, if we are to believe Joy Boy existed 900 years ago in the void century, that means devil fruits were created by the god of the forest in the second world after Joy Boy croaked. So if we are to trust the Harley text, that devil fruits only existed in the second world and not in the first world. Meaning Joy Boy might have not had a devil fruit. That might have been his natural state, because devil fruits were not created by the time the sun god roamed the earth. And Zunisha remembers Joy Boy. He said, Joy Boy, that is you. Imsama is like, what's like Joy Boy, your haki. He says Joy Boy is haki. So it seems that since it says in the first world they will not meet again, they will finally meet again in the third world. That means Luffy, since we know he's like the sun god, and Joy Boy was the last sun god. There are only two instances of the sun god. It's Joy Boy and Luffy. There's no other sun god. There only existed twice. I think it was said that anybody who ate the gum fruit was never able to awaken it. Only Luffy did, and only Joy Boy did, and it's by prophecy too. People have been talking about, hey, Naruto prophecy. Well, here the Hardy text, man. It was written, it was prophesied that Luffy, not Luffy per se, but the sun god will emerge in the third world. There are people with the ability to prophesy, Madam Charlie, and that, so if we are to trust this mural, Luffy will meet Im-sama, who is the god of the land, and he might defeat the god of the land. And I don't know what will happen between the struggle of the sea god and the god of the forest as well. The devil fruits and the sea, will they forever, are they in eternal struggle? Because if we can look at these flames on the left between what I presume to be the sea god and what I presume to be the forest god, the flames are in perpetual struggle. So does that then mean these two will forever be in perpetual struggle, and it will never be like I need to overpower you, just a perpetual struggle that they're going through? The devil fruits will always be hated by the sea, and that's a perpetual struggle that they're going through. We don't need to worry about that fight. We only need to worry about the fight on the left here between the sun god and the god of the land. Anyway, guys, that was my very extended thoughts about this chapter. I appreciate anybody who's made it this far, man. I really do. I appreciate you, man. You're a real one, man. I don't know why you made it this far, but I do appreciate you. Anyway, guys, I'd like to thank you. Thank you for watching if you did make it this far. See ya.